Defensively, probably deeper than offensively because it's year 3. Maybe a little too deep on defense. We might have to pull back a little bit now that we're kind of getting focusing more on getting ready to play a game, kind of hone in on what we want to do, what we're really good at, and what we really didn't like and are not very good at this point. Maybe kind of push that aside, but pretty deep on defense. Ask Tim later when you talk to him. He just threw it all at him. I'd walk in and say, "Hey Tim, you sure you want to install that?" He'd come back and be like, well, "Do you mind?" No, he's like, "All right." He just kept going. So
with John, was it a gradually and then it picked up intensity, or was it been a steady thing?
Yeah, with John, the spring was kind of very vanilla.
Okay.
They just got here, so there wasn't a lot of time as a staff to kind of put all their ideas together. And I think now there's a lot more. It's kind of a mesh of everybody's thoughts and ideas and different personnel groupings, formations, plays, and I really like the way the offensive staff is working together. I sat in with them this morning and watched the scrimmage, and it's a really connected group with a lot of smart guys and a lot of different ideas. And John's done a great job of kind of leading that and putting it all together. And I'm excited to see what it looks like. I think now, though, camp is kind of over and we can kind of focus in on who we're going to be and get ready to play. I'm excited to see exactly what it's going to look like.
Coach, we talked a lot about this being really your first true camp. Compared to the last 2 years, do you guys feel like you're more prepared for the opener maybe than you were?
I felt like we were prepared in the COVID year. We had like an extra month to prepare for Duke, so we felt pretty prepared. We never knew when we were going to play.
Yeah.
So I think we were prepared for that one. I think the intensity level has risen a little bit compared to last year. And again, I don't say that with any disrespect to Colgate at all. I think they do a great job. I think their coach is a really good coach. But with a Big Ten team and a really hard road game to start the season, I think you see a little bit more sense of urgency from everybody. As far as it being my first real camp, I feel like I've been able to be myself more. First year, trying to just get to know the team because we were away from each other. Second year was still kind of, in and out. I just feel like we have a better relationship, a better group, a better feel for each other, and I just can be myself more. So we'll get them prepared, and we'll get ready to play in the first game. We'll do the best we can.
Got a big picture question for you. I'd imagine a couple of years ago when you came here, you were helping to build the secondary the way you wanted to. You kind of had a vision for how you go about doing that. Just how have you done that recruiting-wise and football-wise? Have you made it your own?
With the secondary?
Yep.
Well, you got to give Tim and obviously Azar. Azar's a really good DB coach, and I know everybody wants to point to my DB background, but let's point to Azar. He spends the most time with those guys. He runs the drills. He's in the meetings. He's a really good football coach, and I know he gets a lot of credit for recruiting. And I kind of felt like early in my career, that's all anybody wanted to talk about. I think he's a better coach than he is a recruiter, so I think that says a lot about him, is how I feel about him as a coach. And I also, the fact that I don't have to be in those meetings and feel comfortable should also tell you how I feel about him as a coach. We sit down. It's, getting ready for the NFL draft and looking at certain things. For all those years I was in the NFL, there's a lot of specific things that I look at, and I kind of try to share that with him, and we kind of talk and get our ideas together. But we had a vision of what we wanted the players to look like. What traits we were looking for: size, length, speed, coverage ability, toughness, and then they got to fit in and be BC type kids. But you can see we've brought in a lot of DBs that I think have a chance to be really good players. And we have some vets here that I think he's developed into being really good players. You look at what he's done with Elijah Jones and Josh DeBerry. I think those guys have taken huge strides. You can talk about the defense just a little bit more. We came here, we were when we took over, we were the 125th ranked defense in the country. And I don't know how many teams there are. I think last year we were the 28th total defense. So we talk about rush defense. Yeah, I get it, we have to be better. But we were 128th defense, we were 125th in the whole entire country in 2019 when we got here. We were 28th last year. And I think we were top 30 in points scored and 3 in pass defense. So not just Azar, but that whole defensive staff, they're really good football coaches. And we have good players who do what they're coached to do, and we need to take another step. I know I went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but the DBs, they got to be good players in our scheme or we're going to struggle. Wait until we get the pass rush going, and then you combine it with the DBs. That's when it gets real,
I know you've learned things each year as head coach, but one of the things your players have always said since you took over is you let coaches coach, you let your assistants coach. At what point in your career did you realize how important that is when you got to be head coach to let your assistants have that kind of control?
I learned that as an assistant. I've been around, unfortunately, I've been around a lot of head coaches because in the NFL, I feel like I was moving every 2 years. And then even in college, the best coaches I've been around, they let you coach. And even if it's the position group, and I've worked for guys that coached my position, the best ones let you coach. And they might bring you in meetings and being on the meetings and kind of share with you what they want it to look like and certain drills you want it to look like. But when the players are around, let your coaches coach. I mean, that's huge for me. And I think my job also as a head coach, which I've learned and I probably didn't realize, I need to help our coaches grow and develop too. Like a guy like Azar, I want him to be a coordinator, and I want to help him be a coordinator, and I want him to be a head coach. Tim, I want to share everything that I possibly can to try to help him be a head coach. So same thing with all those guys. So if I was micromanaging, and there's times, trust me, you want to, but don't do it around the players. Do it in the meeting room behind closed doors and just share ideas and talk and let them go coach their guys and take leadership and ownership. Because what's it going to look like if the players see me jumping in and correcting or coaching and telling them how I want it? Then what are they going to do with their position coach? They're not going to trust them. And I need the players and coaches to have a good relationship built on trust. So I think that's something I've really done since I've become a head coach. I think early on, my first year, maybe part of my second, I kind of wanted to jump in a little bit more. But I trust all those guys now. They're good coaches.
With new coaches too coming in and having that, first off, what was your personal experience with them before? How did you kind of come into contact with all of your new position coaches, but then building off of that, letting them coach and getting them into the system? How much of a switch has that been this year, whereas you had the same staff for the last couple of years intact?
Yeah, John I knew. John, we coached together in Tampa. I coached against him, so I knew about him as a person, which is really important to me. I mean, we have great kids here, and I want to bring around great people to be around them, so I trusted him. Googe, I can remember Googe when I was at Albany, 2001 through 5, when he was with the Giants and sitting in when I was a young coach and trying to sneak into the Giants meetings or peeking my head indoors and watching those guys coach, and then just following him with the Patriots around his career. And then him and John have known each other for 20 years. Daryl was recommended to me by a lot of people, and we talked a lot before we made the decision to hire him. The key for me was good people who I could trust, who I knew would be great around our players and would represent BC in a good way. That's the most important thing, just like with recruiting. And this is a special place. It's not for everybody. And I feel the same way when I look at coaches. I got to bring in good people. Then obviously good coaches. With Googe's background with the O-line, he's what we need right now. We're young and inexperienced, and he's a great coach. John and I have the same vision of what we want it to look like. And what Daryl's done in a short time with the receivers is really impressive. I mean, I think when you talk to the wideouts today, ask them that question. And don't let me tell you, let the players tell you. And I think you guys will be really impressed with what they have to say about him. So I'm glad they're all here. I sit in on those meetings more now. I watched the scrimmage with them this morning, just so I can give any input that I can share, whether it's my defensive thought process that goes into what I think they're doing and how they can attack it. I don't have every answer on offense. They're better offensive coaches than I am. That's the truth. They've spent their whole lives doing that, which is why I hired them. But I want to make sure that the vision remains the same, and I want to look at how are we getting this guy the ball and how are we going to get this guy the ball and what are we going to do here with injuries and how I see who I think the best players are to put in those positions. So I'm going to do a better job of that this year. But ultimately, they're the experts, and I'll help them as much as I can.
And just as a follow-up, was there anyone in the process that you kind of recalled in Europe that stressed on you, like, to either from BC or even well before BC, values to rely on, or is it just strictly, this is what I want from a program?
I think it's just being around multiple staffs and a lot of different assistants. And I've been around coaching staffs that there were guys with other agendas, that guys behind closed doors were saying certain things, or guys down in the locker room saying certain things, or guys in the position rooms saying their thing and selling their own thing. And that's how it breaks. And I don't want that. I don't want guys talking behind other people's backs. If anybody has a problem with me or anyone else on the staff, go talk to them. That's how I want our players to be. And I think that's how I've been everywhere I've ever been. Just tell me the truth and don't talk behind closed doors. And we all have to go in the same direction. And that's why I let you coach. And if you aren't doing a good job, I'll call you and we'll talk about it, but let's get it better. So those are just the things as an assistant that I've learned and thought if I ever got to be head coach, that's how I'd want it to be.
Did Ryan Day kind of fill you in on what it was going to be like here?
Ryan and I talked a little bit. I never got too deep into him with it at the time.
Okay.
Because just thinking back, we were pretty busy at the time. We just had won the Big Ten championship. I went on the road recruiting, so it was phone calls back and forth with him and I. Am I going to stay? Am I going to get the job? Am I going to take the job? So those conversations will stay private. But I know what Ryan felt about BC, and I kind of knew about BC just from growing up in the area, coming here in the summers, and following them. But during that time, yeah, we did have conversations about it. So, you know, I wish him good luck this year. I hope they have a great season. I'll be rooting for him.
As you kind of switch, I'm just curious kind of on benchmark-wise, I know you said you're nearing the end of camp, or at the end of camp. Were there achievements that once you reached them, you're like, okay, now we can start preparing to get ready for Rutgers, or is there a matter of still kind of tidying up loose ends from camp and then switching into game plan mode?
Good question, both. We're starting now. It's time, and I feel comfortable with that. But it's not going to be a full practice. We still need to go good on good, and we still need to get better. My fear is if you just turn to doing what we'll call scout work, and you just do that for the next however many practices we have, the speed of the game, it won't be as fast. So you got to go you still have to go ones on ones, good on good. No disrespect to the scout players at all, but I want a ones versus ones still, at least for portions of practice. And then there's practices where it started.
I had to check, I don't know how many days left it is until Rutgers, but is there a set? 12, thanks, John. So if you hit 12 days, is there a set schedule that you're gonna say to kind of cut that off on as you're going?
Yeah, we're scheduled. We met this morning. I have listed, we have practice, what's today, Monday? We have Tuesday, Wednesday practice. We have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday practice. We have Sunday practice. We have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practice. So I know what we're going to do to accomplish in each one of those practices. It's set, yeah.
I know your world's constantly moving, but do you ever look back in the last couple of years with COVID, the injuries, and actually are grateful for those events to happen, for how formative they are for you as a head coach?
Yeah, grateful. COVID maybe, not grateful that COVID happened.
I mean, yeah,
I think I had a lot of lessons learned
Yeah.
because I think it made it really hard. Injuries, I wish they didn't happen. It made it a little harder, and I'm not making excuses. I'm the first to tell you guys that I could have done a better job with the injuries. I think anytime you can go through something hard, like I've said before, I think it makes you a better coach. And I think it's made me a better coach. I think it's opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I am grateful for that, as long as I get better because of it and don't make excuses and say, oh, this would have happened if we didn't. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to work harder, and I'm going to learn from my mistakes, and the staff will learn from our mistakes, and we'll continue to build. It is going to take time, and I've said that, and I feel really good about where we're at. Do I wish we won more games? Yeah. Could we have? Definitely. And I've said it, that's on me, because I'm the head coach, so don't blame anybody else. But we've made significant progress. I think we're recruiting at a high level. I think this class coming in will be even better than the last two, and that's credit to our staff. The strides that defense have made are very, very good. I think we'll be better on offense. Are we young on the O-line? Yeah, we are. Are we going to use that as an excuse? No. We're going to try to win every single game, and we're going to go into every game believing that we can win the game, or what are we doing, right? We got to coach those guys up, or are we going to take some, are there going to be some up and down moments with the line? Yeah, they're all new, right? But we're not going to go into any game scared, and we're not going to go to any game blaming those guys. So I think there is progress, and I think we're going to continue to build it. Do we have the depth right now to sustain more major injuries? No, but I don't know if many people do. I think as we continue to go, I think we will. And then I think, look out. So I'm really excited about this season, guys. I love this team. This is a different group. They're picked, what do we pick? Second to last in the conference, probably 11th overall in the ACC. They got a chip on their shoulder. They believe they can win. They're not going to flinch. And they just play hard together. We don't have guys late. We have guys who don't complain. And I'll take a group like that any day and coach them the best we can.
I just got one more, just because I'm gonna talk to the assistant coaches. In the meeting room, does anyone bring any like good food or recipes or something to the table? I mean, it's meeting day, we gotta ask a fun question in there.
Food?
Any of the assistant coaches
got it.
got like some secret recipe we should know about?
I don't know. You gotta ask Gooch. He's the one, I bet. I don't know. That's a great question. I really can't answer. Ask them. I can't wait for you guys to ask them questions today. You guys got anything? Any questions?
We're saving it for the show.
You guys good?
Yeah.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Jeff,